On today's show, it's a crisis in LA as the Clippers lose 5 straight games. Going to be talking about what went wrong yet again on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, been a Clipper fan for 21 years, been covering the team on my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for 6 and 4 right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. It's the #1 sports podcast network. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. A great place to get great deals last minute on tickets before the start of an event. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Clipper Nation, we're going to be talking about the crisis situation that we are in. And yes, it is a crisis to start the season 3-7 with the expectations that we had going into this season. Going to be talking about the player I was most disappointed in and the reality of this team and the accountability that needs to be taken by many people. The Clippers entered this game on Tuesday night on a 4-game losing streak. I was in attendance. The vlog will be out in the morning on my Dime Dropper channel to see what fans were saying and a view from the wall. But man, oh man, this was depressing. No Nickeil Alexander-Walker, no Trae Young for the Atlanta Hawks. For us, of course, Kawhi Leonard still out with the ankle injury. But Bradley Beal is going to be out for a while, apparently, which is the first thing to report. Kawhi Leonard misses the game with, of course, an ankle injury. Bradley Beal, however, and this is a problem and something that we knew was going to be a potential thing when we brought Bradley Beal in, that he would be injured frequently. According to Ty Lue, he said there is concern that Bradley Beal, who has a hip injury from taking a charge, could be out long term. Kawhi Leonard apparently might be coming back soon. But you never know what to believe when it comes to Kawhi Leonard and injuries with the Clippers and what the team PR is putting out there. So Bradley Beal was questionable with hip soreness. And now Ty Lue is saying that Bradley Beal could be out for a while. That's a concern, and it bit us in this game because the reality is we lost this game to the Atlanta Hawks by a score of 105-102. Again, our offense was a problem. Our defense wasn't that great either. The Hawks shot 45% from the field. We shot 44%. We shot 32% from 3. They shot 38%. They shot 80% from the free throw line, and we shot 72% from the free throw line. They shot better than us in every single category. We turned the ball over 12 times apiece. And at one point, we led by as many as 17 in the first half and ended up losing this game by 3 after being outscored in the second half by 3 because it was tied at halftime. We outscored the Hawks 29-19 in the first quarter. Hawks outscored us 33-23 in the second, which had it tied at 52 at the break. And then they outscored us 27-24 in the third, and we broke even at 26 in the fourth. 105-102. What was the main reason we lost? For me, with the offense, we just don't have enough shot creation right now. If you don't have Kawhi Leonard and you don't have Bradley Beal, and then you're not going to play Bogey and Chris Paul, your only shot creation is going to be James Harden, maybe throwing it down to Ivica Zubac in the post, and maybe throwing it down to Brook Lopez a little bit in the post. Maybe John Collins sometimes. We didn't really utilize him in that way. And history says he's not really great in that respect in terms of getting his own shot one-on-one, maybe in specific situations where he's got a mismatch on a switch or a mismatch while he's rim running or on the roll. He maybe gets that's still a switch, and takes advantage of that. But in terms of going at his own position, he's not the tallest guy in the world. He's not the biggest guy in the world, strongest for his position, because he's really like a wing playing big, I guess you can say, in the league. But what really is a modern power forward? They're not a guy that bangs in the post anymore as much and hangs around the rim. But John Collins is like an athlete who, if he was drafted 10 years ago, might have been, I don't even want to say 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, would have been a small forward. So he's also just not super polished offensively one-on-one at the NBA level fundamentally. I don't think that the shots that he takes that are contested are going to go in. So we really don't have much shot creation. And you have to put a little bit of that on, not a little bit actually, a good amount of that on the coaching staff to make James Harden be the only one that can create shots. The funny part is we put in a lineup in the first half that was without a single creator. Brook Lopez, Chris Dunn, Kobe Brown, Nico Batum, and Cam Christie were all out there together on the floor at one point. For me, I was pretty shocked. And crazy enough, and by the way, John Collins finally started in this game in place of Bradley Beal. And in the beginning, it looked good. You could feel his energy early on. We were up, as I said, we were up 10 points at the end of the first quarter. And the crazy part is we led by 17 at one point of the second, and you had that lineup in that had Chris Dunn, Kobe Brown, Nico Batum, Brook Lopez. Like, as I said, no real shot creator, and Cam Christie. And we ended up going up 36-19. And funny enough, and it was when James and Zoo came back, they got back into the game. And this is where Zoo, and I'll talk about him a little bit more in the next segment, was really missing chippies and not playing well, not hustling, getting back on defense when he was missing those chippies, was playing soft. And Atlanta got hot behind Vit Krejci, who outscored our entire bench by himself. I mean, that was the story of the game if you're a Hawks fan. Vit Krejci was making insane threes. Not all of them were insane, but he got really hot. The last one he made, that bank three in this fourth quarter, was insane. But he had 28 points. And as a whole, we had 23 points off the bench. And again, we're not playing Bogey and we're not playing Chris Paul. And of course, Bradley Beal and Kawhi Leonard are out. James Harden was the only player on the team that scored over 13 points. He had 35, 10, and 11, a 35-point triple-double, and 2 blocks. I thought his defensive effort was much better than the last game, but he did turn the ball over 6 times. However, he did shoot well, 12 for 23 from the field, 6 for 14 from 3, 5 for 6 on the foul line, so he really tried to carry us to a win. It looked like we were out of it in the beginning of the fourth quarter. You had guys like Chris Dunn and Nico Batum who are really solid defenders getting beat on back cuts, and Nico just has not been as good defensively this year. There was that play where Grayson Allen just completely trucked him and scored in Phoenix was really shocking. And then, he's getting beat off the ball a little bit, not seeing the ball when he's guarding some of these guys. But he still makes some good plays here and there defensively. Like we saw the chase down block in the last game. We saw a little steal in this game and a block. But his defense is not, he's getting older, right? And his offense has just not been good enough to justify that. 1 for 5 from the field in this game and 0 for 3 from deep. And I'll talk about Nico a little bit more. But my goodness, I mean, it was a mixture of cold shooting. And, we had a turnover that led to Vit Krejci getting hot in that second quarter where we, completely blew the lead. And I blame Zoo more than anyone. He had a bunch of chippies that he missed. He was being soft with the ball. I always thought that I was told, and it was always a thing, when you put 2 hands on the back of a post player and push them, it's a foul. But I guess not anymore. I guess they just don't want post players to get fouls. So I still am questioning these refs with Zoo. It's ridiculous. However, he needs to stop complaining so much. He needs to play through it and be a little bit stronger. He's presenting the ball to the opposition. He's getting stripped constantly. And every time he misses a jump hook or a shot around the basket and he has a little bit of contact, that probably should be a foul. He's complaining and then he's lagging getting back on the other end. He's playing really soft right now, and he was missing chippies in that second quarter that he made all last season with his eyes closed. I mean, it's a really bad situation right now with Zoo. I'm shocked. And then the lack of shot creation kind of hurt us in that third quarter. We couldn't make threes. We were generating some open threes, and we couldn't make them. And we're still not generating a ton because it's all on James Harden to do it. And, our offense is pretty stagnant. We know Ty Lue's not some offensive guru. He's makes use of the personnel that he has, and the personnel that he has right now is not very good in terms of shot creation. But he's contributing to that by not playing Bogey and Chris Paul. And in a desperate situation like this, we probably need them. I do like that we go younger, and we went younger with Cam Christie and Kobe Brown, but I just don't think Kobe Brown has any NBA talent. There were some moments where he rebounded well. He had 9 points, 2 boards, and was actually perfect from the field, 3 for 3, and 1 for 1 from 3. We'll take that. But he was a minus 12, and so is Cam Christie. Now, I don't think plus minus, encapsulates the whole story, but I'm with Cam Christie, even though he was 1 for 7 in this game and 1 for 4 from 3. There's an NBA player there, in my opinion. But yeah, he had 3 points and 3 rebounds and 3 assists and 1 steal in 3 minutes. If he's going to be a rotation player, we have to hold him accountable like rotation players. He did not shoot well tonight, and we needed him to make some shots. But Kobe Brown, I don't think he adds much to the table, even though he was 3 for 3. We need some shot creation. These guys are not reliable shooters. This is not the standard with Kobe Brown. And, James Harden tried to get us back in the game late, made a couple of threes in that fourth quarter, contested threes. And then, it came down to the end somehow. And it's funny because James, he had some big turnovers late in the game again. But there was that moment where we didn't foul, and Derrick Jones Jr. got a block when we were down by 3, and James Harden had a chance to tie the game. And a lot of people were wondering why he pulled up from so deep. We had no timeouts left. He didn't want the defense to set. He was feeling really good. I honestly don't mind the shot at all. It was in and out. It was really deep, but if we slow the game down, right, and James Harden isos and tries to get into a step back, they probably would have double teamed and gotten the ball out of his hands. And James Harden made 6 of our 12 threes, so literally half our threes. However, I still think he can get downhill more to his floater. It's a lot of settling. It doesn't get 2 feet in the paint as much. Now, granted, when he does get 2 feet in the paint, they're obviously going to help, and he may have to pass these other guys who are not making threes, but I do think he can get to his floater more. Obviously, asking for him to get to a mid-range a little, that's not very realistic of James Harden, but that floater, I think he can get to a little bit more, just because when he's dribbling around and takes a step-back 3, the times that he misses, everyone's just standing around, and it's a long miss, and they're out in transition. I just think we had a lot of possessions where James was still holding onto the ball too long, but he is the one player who you have to say he did his role. He did his part. I don't think anyone else was quite good enough. I would say Chris Dunn was 11 points on 50% shooting, but defensively, he's gambling too much. He's reaching too much. He's picking up bad fouls, and he got beat backdoor a couple of times. So for me, James Harden was the only one who did enough. 35-point triple-double. Everybody else, not quite, and Ty Lue's contributing to that. But coming up, going to talk a little bit more about Ivica Zubac and just how bad the situation really is right now. 105-102 is the final from Intuit Dome. The Clippers lose their 5th straight and drop to 3-7 on the season. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. And right now we're talking about FanDuel. We go to the NBA odds. I'll tell you, the Clippers are not one of the favorites to win the championship anymore. I can tell you that much. We are currently in 12th place with plus 2,700 odds. If you still believe, in terms of the conference, we're not even top 5 right now to win the conference. We're currently in 7th in the odds. So if you're feeling lucky, head on over to FanDuel and bet on us to win the conference or the championship. Because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. I got to tell you a little something about Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no coverages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered to the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number in contacts. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time, new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on a limited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, Clipper Nation, we dropped to 105-1, or we dropped to the Hawks 105-102. We didn't have Bradley Beal. We didn't have Kawhi Leonard. They didn't have Trae Young. They didn't have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. It's a little bit of a crisis situation. I mean, after 10 games, I said we were going to go, or we needed to go 7-3 because our schedule was on the easier side. Atlanta at Intuit Dome. Miami at Intuit Dome. Utah. Phoenix 3 times. And we come out 3-7. I get it. Kawhi Leonard has missed 4 games, and we're 0-4 in those games. If you had told me he was going to miss 4 of the first 10 games, I would have said probably not 7-3. But I thought we'd be more equipped. However, Bradley Beal has not really even been a part of this team. And the potential that he's going to be out for a while, will that help the team? I don't know. Definitely John Collins, as Ty Lue is saying and claiming that he's going to be starting for a while. So finally, in the 10th game, he makes that change. Of course, classic Ty Lue, 10-game sample size. But you know what's funny about the whole Ty Lue? Actually, you know what? I want to save the Ty Lue stuff for the end. But let's talk about Ivica Zubac right now. Ivica Zubac has been super poor. The stats don't tell the full story. He had 13 points, 12 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks, and 2 turnovers on 6 for 10 shooting, but he was 1 for 4 from the free throw line. The free throw shooting was just bad all the way around. We were 18 for 25 as a team. Harden was 5 for 6. Chris Dunn was 0 for 1. Zoo was 1 for 4. Derrick Jones Jr. was 5 for 6. And Brook Lopez was 3 for 4. The real standout there is Zoo. Everybody else can miss 1 free throw. But Ivica Zubac is 1 for 4 from the free throw line. And the chippies that he was missing, I know he missed only 4 shots, but some of them were just, and it was at the time that they happened when Atlanta was making their run, but it's just unlike Zoo to miss some of these shots. And Kristaps Porzingis, he's a really lanky guy, so he can contest some of Zoo's shots at the rim well. But it's just everything with Zoo. He's playing so soft. He's presenting the ball to the opposition. When he's getting double teamed, he's not making as good of reads. And here's the thing. People now know that Ivica Zubac is really good. It's not like where you can sneak up on people anymore. He's getting pushed out in terms of when he's trying to get post position. He's catching the ball further away from the basket, which is forcing him to put the ball on the floor more. That could be related to the weight that he lost. But he's going to need to work that much harder for position because people know if you push him out a certain amount, he's no longer effective. And then double teaming, he needs to be much more decisive. He's relying so much on the fouls. He's letting the refs get to him. And it's just not going to be good enough. There was no way we were going to take a step up this season if we didn't get at least an equivalent Zoo. And we've gotten a much worse one. And right now we need him more than ever. And this game, getting him the ball was not an excuse. We got him the ball and he looked soft with it. And I do think there's a level of the weak side guys when he gets double teamed needs to do a better job of cutting and flashing in open space because he's not going to whip a cross-court pass around his shoulder or over his shoulder like Jokic. He's not going to do that. He's going to make more basic reads and you're going to need to cut. You might need to catch the ball in the mid-range. Players need to be more spontaneous with that because if you're forcing him to pass it across the court, I mean, especially when he's getting fouled and he's flailing like that, it's going to be a turnover. But he needs to stop flailing. He needs to play harder and he needs to play with more intensity. He now has a target. Everybody knows he's good. So there's no more flying under the radar anymore. Mr. Underrated. You got to perform. KP was guarding Zoo to start the game. Dyson Daniels was on James Harden. Keaton Wallace was on Chris Dunn. Jalen Johnson was on John Collins. And Zachary Risachet was on DJ. On our side of things, we had Zoo on Kristaps Porzingis, John Collins on Jalen Johnson, DJ on Risachet, Chris Dunn on Keaton Wallace, James Harden on Dyson Daniels. As far as Atlanta's defensive strategy, they actually had Kristaps Porzingis hedging on James Harden. So he was coming out to the level of the screen, not trapping him hard. It was kind of a soft hedge. And that was allowing him to get rid of the ball. So it's still impressive that James Harden still got 23 shots off when they were playing that kind of defensive coverage. But he was able to still make plays and still score and still turn the corner. And I think Porzingis at times is not always alert defensively. And then when we actually had moments we were switching 1 through 5 to try to take away Porzingis' pick and pop threat. So if you're wondering why were smaller guys guarding Porzingis so much, it's because we were switching 1 through 5 to take away his pick and pop threat, because we still feel like Zoo is more exclusively a drop coverage defender, and we didn't want to hedge and make these other guys get wide open shots. We wanted to switch and make Porzingis beat us in isolation more so than that. And when we do that, it's fine, but Chris Dunn can't be slapping down like that all the time. He ended up having 20 points on 5 for 12 shooting and 1 for 5 on 5 for 12 shooting and 1 for 5 from 3. Kristaps Porzingis. Vit Krejci had 28 points. I mean, that killed us, but those are all like defensive breakdowns too. And I still don't think our defense was the bigger problem. I think our offense is a problem. You know, the shots that we're taking, and as I said, Zubac is a part of that. But the shots that we're taking, they're not all good shots. We are taking some bad threes. Nico Batum took a corner 3 that wasn't even open and he airballed. And then the last play of the game, I forgot to mention, Nico got a chance and he was about to pull up from like 30 feet when there was still like 4 seconds left on the clock, and he got stripped on the way up and we didn't get a shot off. Although the box score tallies that as a shot attempt and he got blocked, but Nico was awful. And to be honest, he was left in too long in the fourth quarter. So, I don't know. I'm very disappointed in Zoo from not just this game, but the entire season. And coming up, we're going to just get to the bottom of it and talk about some of the questionable decisions that are being made right now. I got to tell you a little something about game time. Basketball season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. Their zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. You can even find NBA tickets for under $25. I used Game Time last year for the MLB playoffs. I used it for opening night before I had the Swell Pass. It's good. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. I got to tell you a little something about Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win, not just on game day, every day, locking in on every opening, beating your personal record, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All right, Clipper Nation, here's what I'll say before we start continuing the discussion of this 105-102 loss to the Atlanta Hawks. We are now 3-4 at home, 3-7 on the season. We've lost 5 straight games and are probably the most disappointing team in the Western Conference thus far, but we're only 1/8 through the season. We are currently in 13th place in the Western Conference. We are currently the coldest team in the Western Conference with 5 straight losses, which was the largest active losing streak in the conference. It's bleak right now. And with Kawhi Leonard, I mean, I guess he's day-to-day, but he's probably going to miss the Denver game. And then Beal's going to be out for a while. We need some shot creation. I know Chris Paul hasn't been good, and I know Bogey hasn't been good either. But Bogey hasn't gotten as much of a chance. We need it, or else we're going to just burn James Harden out. He's going to be the only one creating shots. Because that lineup we played, he did okay in the first half, and he got away with it because we were playing through Brook Lopez, and guys were cutting a little bit. But playing through Brook Lopez, through him, as your primary offense outside of Zoo post-ups and Harden pick and rolls and ISOs, that's not going to get us anywhere, to be honest with you. We need a shot creator in there as well. And Lopez, he makes his open threes, or he's starting to make them. In this game, he was 2 for 5 from the field and 50% on his open threes, or on threes, 2 for 4, 3 for 4 from the foul line, and had 9 points, which is fine, but no rebounds in 17 minutes at the center position. I mean, the guy doesn't box out. He doesn't jump. He just looks very old and slow. And for him to have 3 turnovers in the game at his position, I mean, that's a quarter of our turnovers. So he wasn't great. He made some threes, but he wasn't great. He's not really, he's getting a couple blocks around the rim. I'd say he's better than Mo Bamba was for us, or Drew Eubanks, yes. But he's been a little disappointing, Brook Lopez. His rim protection has been mediocre. He's just old. But honestly, we shouldn't have expected anything less. Just the only thing I was wrong about was having a starting level center coming off the bench. He's not a starting level center anymore. But I think Brook Lopez is the least of our problems, if I'm being honest. The lineup to have no shot creators out there is a little bit wild from Ty Lue, especially for a guy that values offense so much. And I thought it was 10 games of sample size. You pulled Chris Paul after game number 7. And weirdly, after he finally hit a 2-pointer in a mid-range coming off a screen in that Phoenix game, we just subbed him out and didn't play him in the second half. And he's now been a DNP coach's decision for 2 straight games in a second half, so 2.5 games. And then Bogey is not playing these last 2 games. I like the young approach, but it just doesn't make sense. And I thought Ty Lue used 10 games. He didn't even use 10 games. The lineup is constantly changing. I like that John Collins started. We should keep that going. John Collins finished with 9 points, 7 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, but he peaked in the first quarter. He just missed too many open threes, 1 for 6 from deep and 3 for 11 from the field. So again, we just have not shot well from 3, but I also think we can limit the bad threes. The only person that should be taking contested threes without Kawhi Leonard is James Harden. That's the only player, and even then I think he settles too much at times. Everyone else should not be taking contested threes. Nicolas Batum, I mean, I love the guy to death, but he's been awful. So let's talk about, why we're so bad. Look, Ty Lue has not gotten this right. I thought he was a great coach the first year. In the second year, he was amazing. Third year, he was a disaster. Fourth year, he did well. And last year, he was awesome. But right now, he's gone back to underachieving and disappointing, and he's not getting the most out of this team. At first, I thought he had the right decision of having Bogey on the bench. Bogey out of the rotation. Out of the 11, quote-unquote, 11 good players that I talked about and raved about all summer, we had 11 rotation players. Right now, it looks like we have 6, if we're being honest. I'll go through them in a second. But Ty Lue's first mistake was underplaying John Collins for 9 games. Did he even log 30 minutes tonight? Okay, finally, first time this season, John Collins played 31 minutes, or 30 or more minutes. It took till game 10. We're already 3-6. So that's a mistake. A little bit of a jumping the gun in the rotation with taking Chris Paul out and Bogey out. At least ride with it for 10 games. That hasn't worked. No. And then this whole Bradley Beal promise thing is hurting. Then also, why do we have DJ out for so long in that fourth quarter? Nico was not playing well, and we took too long to make the change. Ty Lue's been poor. Zubac has been underwhelming. Kawhi has missed 4 out of 10 games. Here we go again. At this point, look, Kawhi Leonard's great, but he's so unreliable, and it really hurts our team. How many years are we going to go through with this? There's still a lot of season left. We still can make the playoffs, but we're not going to get a top 4 seed. I don't see it. And look, we were 3-7 in 2024, and then we turned it around and had a top 4 seed. I'm afraid the West's a little tougher, and we didn't have as easy of a start to the season because now we play Denver on Wednesday, probably without Brad and Kawhi, and then we have the biggest road trip of the season. We are in a terrible situation right now. And this team is good enough maybe to wake up, but I don't know. We might just be too old. Maybe we all were wrong and overestimated the team, and I'm questioning myself right now. Because when you look at the reality, okay, Ty Lue is one thing. Most fans are going to say, because they don't like holding players accountable, that he's the biggest reason we're underachieving. If I had to point to one thing, first and foremost, even more than Kawhi missing 4 out of the first 10 games, it's Zoo. He has been disappointing, and he's my second favorite player on the team. And then beyond that, because he's still been the third best player, you can argue, I think DJ and Chris Dunn are fine. We're getting what we need out of them. Brook Lopez, he's been a little underwhelming, but honestly, he's old and he's a backup center. He's made a couple threes, gotten a couple of blocks. That's what he is. He's not perfect. He's a decent backup center. Those are 3 guys out of the 11. Kawhi Leonard is injured again, so let's remove him. Now we're down to 10. Bradley Beal has been a disaster. Honestly, getting him was not worth the headache, if I'm being honest. We should have just gone with 10 of these rotation players, not had a true Norm replacement, and just bit the fact that, okay, we can't replace Norm, but we got a different person. It's John Collins. And if he's injured and we need some shot creation, we play the young guys. And yeah, that's not fully replacing Norm, but that's it. You just bite the bullet and you don't replace Norm. You just emphasize John Collins and Kawhi being healthy. But here's the thing. And John Collins has been fine. He's been underused, so let's add John Collins to the mix. Alongside Harden, that's now 6 players I named that are doing their thing. It's Brook Lopez, Chris Dunn, Derek Jones, James Harden, Ivica Zubac, and John Collins. As I mentioned, Kawhi and Beal out. And then you have... And Zubac is not doing his thing. He's been underwhelming, but he's still at least giving you some production. Chris Paul has been unplayable. I'll take my L on that. I did not think he would be this bad. Bogdanovic, when he has gotten his minutes, has not been very good. When you look at the stats, Chris Paul, through 8 games, is averaging 2 points. 2 points and 4 assists on 24-26 shooting splits. 24% from the field. And then Bogey, he's only played 4 games. He's averaging 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists on 28% shooting and 23.5% from 3. So they have been unplayable. I still think Bogey should play, though. But they haven't been good. Do you take them out of the equation? Now you're only 9 deep. And now you lose Kawhi and Beal, you're only 7 deep. So now all that depth we had is not really a thing. So it's not all on Ty Lue. Our players have been underwhelming. Right now, unless we need Bogey back in the mix. We need another shot creator back in the mix, or else some trades are going to need to be made ASAP, because if we have 2 guys that are injured a lot, and Beal and Kawhi, and then Bogey and Chris Paul, who are supposed to be shot creators and guys that come off the bench and are able to kind of give us some things that we lose with Beal and Kawhi out, if they can't be even playable, then this team is not what we thought it would be. It's that simple, regardless of Ty. And Ty's not helping. So in terms of the starting lineup, what should come next? I think obviously non-negotiable Zoo and Harden, and then John Collins. And then after that, you got to go with maybe Derek and Chris Dunn. Just load it with the defense. Now, granted, there's no secondary shot creator out there. You could start Bogey and then have one of Chris Dunn or Derek come off the bench. But you know what? Because last year, the starting lineup a lot of times was Zoo, DJ, Chris Dunn, Harden, and Norm. But we had Norm that was able to come off screens and make things happen and score the ball. And he is relentless motor scoring the ball and working quickly off the catch. It was perfect next to Harden. Like, we underestimate how great Norm was of a fit next to Harden, because he just doesn't need long to do what he does. He's just quick catch and shoot guy, quick coming off curls guy, get to the basket. It's not ISO. It's not, ball pounding. He lets Harden do all that, and then he plays off of Harden. So, yeah, if we have Harden, Chris Dunn, Derek Jones Jr., John Collins, and Zoo, our offense is going to be stagnant. You're not going to get much motion out of that. You might be able to play a little bit more on the inside, throwing the ball to Zoo, and then maybe sometimes John Collins. But I think we can use John Collins as a screener more. I think we haven't utilized that enough. Because if teams blitz James Harden, he can get Collins in the short roll. He can get some more dunks. He can maybe make some plays, although his live dribble passing has been a little suspect. But also he can pick and pop a little bit. Although most teams are going to switch. The guy who's guarding John Collins will switch on a Harden, and then the guy that's guarding Harden will switch on a Collins. That's where maybe we can create a mismatch, and Harden has been getting busy with that. But John Collins, maybe we can throw it down to him more. I think you might have to play Bogey, though, in that starting lineup. It's just, you don't have many options. Without Kawhi and Beal, it's tough. I think you're just going to have to ride with just playing through James Harden and Ivica Zubac and a little bit of John Collins in that starting lineup and play both defensive guys, Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones Jr. starting lineup. And then off the bench, you get Nico, who's not been good. Like, that's another guy who's just not been good. So it's like 6 guys are playing well. And I like Nico, but he's not been good. He's not hitting shots. He's not playing defense at a level that we're used to, but he can. I still think he'll be fine defensively, but he's got to make some shots. He's not doing that consistently. So a lot of our rotation players are just underperforming, and maybe they're just too old. And Ty's got to take some accountability. After the game, he's just like, my guy, Mikael Matthew, asked him, what did you say to the fans right now? And he said, stay the course, be patient. Like, there's no urgency. There's none. Like, they want to be they're okay being a first-round team. And I'm just tired of that. I just think the only silver lining, Clipper Nation, is one, I still think we, depending on when Kawhi comes back, we can turn this around. But if Kawhi and Beal are out for a while, we're going to struggle. And I don't know what the answer is in that starting lineup. If you play Derrick Jones and Chris Dunn and start them, you're going to burn James Harden down to the ground. And Zubac needs to be much better. Because in the second unit, as I said, you got Nico, you get Bogey, you get Lopez, and I guess you get Cam Christie. That's 9. I don't see the Kobe Brown angle, really. I don't know if he's an NBA player, even though he played well enough for another chance after this game. But long term, I just don't see it. Maybe Kobe Sanders, Jordan Miller when he comes back. It's like if Chris Paul is not playable, we're in trouble. I think we should give him another shot. It's just we got to. We got him. We got to live with it. I don't know. It's not a pleasant situation right now. But you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for the experience at every single game that I attend. And, of course, you can hear from the fans who were very disappointed after the game, but some still believe. So go check out what they were saying. And, of course, Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I really appreciate the views lately. Keep subscribing. Get this up to 8,000 subscribers before the end of November. And hopefully we'll turn it around. We got 72 more games, Clipper Nation. So let's give it some time, but man, against Denver is not going to get any easier. We're going to need more from Zoo. We're going to need more organization from Ty. We need Bogey back in the rotation. We need something. Because otherwise we're screwed. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.